Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2021 Honda CB500X with ABS. And ABS leads us into one of two new changes for this year. ABS is now standard on the 500X for 2021. You cannot buy a non-ABS or standard model, so to say, anymore. Now, I don't quite like that move, as I think it should be an option, but it's been written on the wall for years now that it was going to become a standard feature across the board for us. The other change comes in the way of color options. Last year we had Grand Prix Red, and that's been replaced with what Honda just calls Matte Black Metallic here in the States, or in Europe they like to spice it up a little bit and call this Matte Gunpowder Black Metallic. And speaking of Europe, as usual, they get more color options than us, with 3 in total compared to our 1. Now listen, American Honda, we need to have a sit down with a lack of color options, because it's not just this bike that's lacking in the color department. But that's enough rambling for today. Let's get into this bike, and if you find any information in the video helpful, please take a second and hit the like button for YouTube's algorithm. It helps more than you guys know. I want to take a quick second and say thank you to Southern Honda Powersports for opening their doors to me and allowing me to come pick through their inventory for these videos. They are a massive Honda Powersports dealer here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, with tons of inventory from new Hondas to used Harleys and everything in between that they sell to people from all over the USA. So check out the link in the description below and head over to their website to see if they can save you some money on your next toy. The CB500X is one of 8 different adventure motorcycles in Honda's current 2021 model lineup, if you go off of what their website says. However, we're going to drop off the dual sport models that Honda clumps in there, like the CRF 300L models, CRF 450RL, and the XR 650L, and that leaves us with this CB500X, the NC 750X, and the Africa Twin models. This bike is the cheapest at $69.99, but when jumping up to the NC 750X that starts at $81.99, you also have the option of an automatic transmission for just $800 more. Then you really start to climb up the ladder real quick, as the Africa Twin model lineup starts at $14,399 and tops out at $17,999 with both auto and manual transmission options available. So if you want an affordable adventure style motorcycle that doesn't break the bank and isn't a street legal dual sport bike, this is it from Honda. Now this bike also shares quite a few parts with other models in Honda's lineup, and that's how they were able to keep costs down while still developing basically a home run. Now we won't dive into them here, but check out the CBR500R if you're more into the sport bike look, and the CB500F if you're into naked bikes. But not much longer until that CB500F is replaced with the new CB500R. And next up, we'll start to dive into the chassis. The CB500X's diamond-shaped steel tube mainframe ties to the engine with 4 mounts, offering a rock-solid foundation. It's both light and strong, with a tuned degree of yield that gives plenty of feedback as the surface changes. Honda spent a lot of time making sure the shape and position of the engine mounts, plus the frame's overall rigidity, reduces vibrations. And then up front you have 41mm preload adjustable front forks with 5.9 inches of suspension travel. While out back you have Honda's ProLink rear suspension with the 9-stage spring preload adjustability and 5.3 inches of travel to help absorb some of those bumps. The rear shock features an advanced pressure separation design from Honda's larger sport bikes, resulting in more stable and predictable performance when it comes to rear wheel tracking and overall traction. Then we get to one of the most requested changes that took place in 2019, and that's the 19-inch front wheel. Paired up with the front suspension, it ensures more confidence and stability on rough surfaces. The lightweight aluminum wheels wear 110 by 80 by 19 sized tires up front and a 160/60/17 in the rear. And to stop those wheels, we have a single 310mm disc with a 2-piston caliper up front, and in the rear we have a 240mm disc with a single piston caliper. And don't forget, with the brakes, you now have ABS as standard equipment. And now we're at the engine. The engine has been a home run for Honda. Released originally in 2013 with a trio of 500cc class bikes and largely unchanged except for a few tweaks over the years to really perfect it, and then again to meet the most recent Euro 5 regulations. Now I won't bore you with that info, but I'll throw a link down below to HondaProKevin.com where you can read more of that technical info if that's what you're into. Now it's called a 500, but it's really not one. Yup, Honda lied to you.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Of course, I'm kidding. A CB500X wouldn't sound that good, so they rounded up. It's a 471cc liquid-cooled dual overhead cam parallel twin engine that makes right at 50 horsepower at 8,600 RPMs and 31.7 foot-pounds of torque at 7,000 RPMs, and it's rated at 65 miles per gallon. And thankfully it won't break the bank to maintain this engine, as Honda's maintenance schedule recommends oil changes every 8,000 miles and valve inspections every 24,000 miles after your first service at 600 miles. And next up we get to the transmission. Paired up to that engine is a 6-speed gearbox that is very close to that of the CBR1000RR, using the same gear change arm structure and link mechanism, paired up with an assist slipper clutch that was added in 2019. And the 500X does have an adjustable windshield for added wind protection depending on your size and preference when it comes to how the wind smacks you. And right below the windshield we have the LCD screen showing the usual stuff, including a gear position indicator, which is starting to make its way to becoming a standard feature these days too. And you can also adjust your shift up indicator in 250 RPM increments between 5,000 RPMs and 8,750 RPM, which is its default. And next up, we'll get to a few more numbers. The CB500X's seat height comes in at 32.8 inches, while the fuel tank capacity comes in at 4.7 gallons, making the bike's curb weight come in at 434 pounds, full of all fluids. And if you pair up that 4.7 gallon fuel tank with a 65 miles per gallon rating from Honda, that would put you right around the 300 mile mark for range, depending on how heavy you are with the throttle, of course. And next up, we'll start the bike up and let you hear what it sounds like in stock form. And that's the 2021 Honda CB500X. What do you guys think about it? Is there anything you wish Honda would have changed this year, or that you hope they'll change next year? I know there are a lot of details that I didn't cover in this video, but I'm trying to play around with video lengths and see what works best and how many consume all of the longer videos versus the shorter ones. Basically, I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm just trying to figure things out. But if you made it this far, thank you for the support. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.